Hello everyone and welcome to another episode in the esteemed halls of VBL-S Content Week. This is Season 9 and I am here with the one, the only, undefeated on season, Sucaba?
Sucaba.
Sucaba.
What?
Sucaba.
Wait, what? Yeah, that what he said.
Yep. And myself, Manchini the Amazing. Welcome to this channel. I never make good plays. I only make amazing plays or amazingly bad plays. And today, we're going to show you how to be a player and get that bag.
Money.
So,
Cash money.
This is a sequel to the Value Town series that we did, except sorry, that I did with like 3 different people. Where we look at low-tier Pokemon that have been drafted, but instead of looking at specific examples and making predictive statements or conclusive statements, we will examine what sort of types of Pokemon you can get in low tier and what they do, and examples of how you can use them effectively on a team. Using VBL-S as an example to talk about more general draft league concepts. No? Yes? Maybe?
Yes, sounds good. I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Let's get the bag, and don't forget, screen cap this quick. This will be a shot you want to save in your brain spaces forever. Iono is very much, like Iono has a, did like a crypto pump and dump, 100%.
Oh damn.
Just like your generic,
well, technically
Japanese
that's them
YouTuber,
getting the
right?
bag.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I mean.
Back.
Like that's what the whole thing was. Like that, I picked Iono because they were like, what Pokemon character is most likely to have scammed?
Damn.
So yes, that's right. I forgot I gave them all. You get the back the value, funny moves, the experience. So this is about getting Pokemon that provide like strong support options off of low cost bodies. And different like archetypal ways to take advantage of them. Yeah,
you picked a good 3 examples here that were all drafted. Some of these were drafted kind of early too. These are some of the. Well, I think Hattrem went like
round 7.
Not, yeah, something like that. Like not like.
I took it round 7. Masquerain was round 3 though.
Yeah.
And then Shroodle I think was round 9. I mean, I only took low tiers 7 onwards, or it might have been 8. I think it was 8. I think I took Doug on 7.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, these were some of the more hot commodities that we noticed, though.
For sure. And yeah, we were thinking about how do you flesh out a team. Obviously, I have made a video on Tailwind, and I've previously made a video on Trick Room, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could start by talking about Hattrem. This was a very coveted mon. You know, when you're looking at a low tier, there's a lot of things to consider, right? So, first of all, like you just said with these mons, like funny moves, like do they offer like some sort of strong supportive option, like a Trick Room?
So my thoughts with these mons specifically is the reason that they were drafted were to provide options that are generally good in draft that the teams didn't have previously. Said funny moves with specifically Trick Room. General like prankster nonsense and Tailwind being the main moves that I was considering, but then they also come with a number of other utility options.
Yeah, and Hattrem, I mean, I think it's important to note that
Hattrem and Masquerain both have decent special attacking stats.
For sure, and that's kind of my point is like, you can't just have the funny move, right? I mean, if you want to justify...
Shroodle.
Well, it depends. I mean, some of these mons in the low tier were like 4 or 5, right? And if you're spending that...
Hattrem was 3 points, Shroodle was, I think, also 3. Masquerain was 4 or 5?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, Hattrem, like you said, has 86 special attack. It has an amazing ability in Magic Bounce, which offers a lot of utility for your team as a valuable switch-in if you're expecting a taunt, an encore, something like that. But also just allows it to get up Trick Room more reliably, which is a niche that you can't find unless you have the fully evolved version of this mon. So
Espeon.
Yes, or that. True.
Or just run a mental her.
Yeah. I mean, Espeon is kind of meh though. I think Hatterene's definitely better.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is disputing that Hatterene, a like high mid-tier Pokemon, is better than Espeon, a low mid-tier Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think Espeon is also slightly less bad than Hattrem. Oh, sorry, slightly worse than Hattrem. said the opposite of what I was trying to say. I think Espeon and Hattrem are both pretty draftable mons, but Hattrem was 3 and Espeon was, I think, 8.
Yeah.
It does have 130 special attack, which is a little slightly larger than 86, and it has Dazzling.
Coverage isn't great. Yeah.
See, we said the exact opposite thing there.
Shadow Ball. I mean, I could take a look. I don't know what else it has.
Well, Hattrem is losing a lot of the coverage that Hatterene has.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
It's fairly similar to Espeon, I think, in terms of coverage. But Nuzzle is an incredible utility move. You know, people
Charm as well.
I think people said that I got Hattrem for the purpose of Imprison Trick Room, which, to be honest, it was for Trick Room sweepers that got sniped for me. But
now it's Imprison Trick Room.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still think I can run Trick Room with Goldengo, right? Like, I'm mostly playing into matches with incredibly fast Pokemon. You know, I'm playing, like, I think that I am the, like, second slowest team in the division. In terms of, like, top speed, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, Noivern is one of the slowest top speed mons in the format. Sorry, in the normal format, but in my division.
There's always merit to like a surprise tricker mode that
I mean, I don't know if it's meant to be much of a surprise.
Is expecting to match speed with Tailwind. You set
for sure.
And you win.
Being able to bring both Noivern and Hattrem and switch up between them, I think my team is very much fit for that Tail Room sort of concept. And like the Masquerain, you know, I think abilities are a big part of what makes funny move mons work. Intimidate on Masquerain is very solid. Like I said, it has decent special attack. It also has Struggle Bug, which I didn't put here, but it is also pretty good support, and it's like got decent special attack to use it. I think it's actually got a higher attack stat for some reason, but I might be misremembering. But yeah, having ways to mitigate your opponent's damage output, whether that is Haze, whether that is Encore, whether that is you know, Sunny Day against a Rain team, or even just like a Palafin, as well as like Nuzzle to limit the opponent's consistency, can be super impactful. And getting a mode that you don't otherwise have, like that Prankster Weather, like a Trick Room or Tailwind, can be pretty significant, but it's important to have it on a body that does something more than just click that. So it does help if they are offensively potent. It does help if they have other support options. Helping Hand is, I think, one of the main things that makes otherwise completely useless Pokemon do something, even if it's not amazing. But having strong abilities like Magic Bounce, Prankster, and Intimidate, I think, make these Pokemon more enticing options.
Yeah, I mean, for a 3-point Prankster mon,
it might be 4. No, I think Shroodle is 4 and Riolu is in 3.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so 4 points, you know, you're obviously not getting that diverse Prankster move pool.
Yeah.
It is kind of limited in the status options it has.
Shroodle has a fairly decent move pool. I just think that it misses a lot of the high roll impactful moves.
Yeah. Like it has good moves, don't get me wrong, but like it doesn't get Parting Shot as well, which is nice.
Does Grafia get Parting Shot?
This is definitely
it does get Parting Shot.
It does get Parting Shot.
To be honest,
no
idea.
I think this is good. Like this is a good mon to draft if you have like powerful past Paradox forms, like because you get that free, like you get that potential mode immediately where it's like, yeah, I can leave this and my Paradox mon, get Prankster Sunny Day off, and just get that free photosynthesis boost.
Like, you know, or a Chiyu, you know, or
which is exactly what I have.
Or a a water type with Rain Dance.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's a decent option just in and of itself, and Encore is very annoying disruption to deal with. I think it may also have Taunt, I'm not sure. But Swagger also works if you have an Oblivious mon. Or a Misty Train. You know, that thing that's very easy to set up in this format on account of Misty Surge not existing.
True.
Yeah.
And then you kind of already talked about Masquerain, but the utility you get is solid. What's the speed tier on that?
80.
Remember? At 80?
Yeah. I've used it in singles. I've not used it in VGC before.
It has 100 special attack as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It has decent special attack. It's got Quiver Dance. It's got Intimidate. I don't think it has Hurricane, though. I think it's just Air Slash.
Yeah, Bug Flying kind of sucks, because you get a 4x rock weakness.
Yeah, that's why I put Terra Ground. I put Terra Ghost to deal with Fake Out on Shroodle. I put Terra Steel on Hattrem to deal with I think it was U-Turn, which was the main thing I was thinking. I mean, it gives you a neutrality to Ghost and Dark. Whereas, like, if you go Dark to resist Ghost and Dark, then you become weak to U-Turn.
Yeah, that's probably the best option then.
But I think you're like alternating between Covert Cloak and Eviolite on it, and I honestly think that that's true between Covert Cloak and Focus Sash for both Masquerain and Shroodle as well. Covert Cloak is really good on these sorts of utility mons because it can, you know, if your Pokemon is already getting the Intimidate and it's also getting Tailwind off, but on top of that, it's also burning your opponent's Fake Out. That's pretty good. It's all right, you know, it's not bad.
Yeah, I buy it. I would buy these 3 Pokemon right here at the price for sure.
Yeah, I think I'd honestly take Shroodle over Grafaiai if I don't have Slaking.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I think a lot of Grafaiai
I think I'd take Shroodle
inflated
for a point less. The main thing I dislike about Shroodle and Grafaiai is they don't have a good normal stab, because their strongest base power normal stab is Terra Blast, which is a special move, and they have bad special attack. So then you have to use Facade, which, you know, if your Facade is hitting well, your Gunk Shot isn't, you know. Yeah, it's just, I think Shroodle is the most passive of these, and I think Riolu is less passive. Also, Shroodle doesn't have a Howl, which is funny. It's like coaching, but not anywhere near as good.
Yeah, I could buy that. The heavy emphasis on the not nearly as good part.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we saw Zamazenta Crowned use Howl, and then the second it learned coaching, start using coaching.
It's usable.
It's got places. I mean, it's on like a not great mon that had the decent positioning for that sort of thing. I think Paralysis is a big part of making these sort of utility mons have that extra thing, even if they have bad offensive matchups in a format. Because Para is very impactful. This is a similar thing with Rage Powder mons being better because they also have Sleep Powder, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But less consistent than Sleep Powder. But also more consistent because you hit Nuzzle and Thunderwave, even if you don't necessarily hit Stun Spore.
I mean, if you're looking for a low tier, take a look at what it's got, what's in the kit. If you like it, you know, you could always run a Sash, you could run an Eviolite if it has decent bulk defensive stats. So yeah, these are 3 solid options.
Yeah, so I think that the funny moves are a reasonable way. I mean, this isn't more about like them as individual options, but more about like archetypes as mons. Similar sorts of mons. Slowpoke comes to mind. Fletchling is a really good Tailwind setter because of Gale Wings. There are other. I think there is Staravia has Intimidate and Tailwind, which is you know, giving it that extra edge of consistency in a similar way to Masquerain. I think there are probably other random Tailwind users that have a position, and we talked about Riolu as the other option for Shroodle. There's also Impidimp, which is in 5. I was really hoping to really only do 4 and down, but that meant that I was very limited in terms of fully evolved Pokemon, and there were a few interesting fully evolved Pokemon in 5 to talk about as being in the back.
I think 5 is reasonable for a low tier benchmark when you have a 115 point budget, so I think that's fine.
Maybe. I think it's definitely on the edge. I just found that I couldn't talk about as much interesting stuff without 5, because I thought there was like a massive power drop from 6 to 5, and then a big one from 5 to 4, and then a big one from 4 to 3, and then 3, 2, and 1 were all fairly similar.
Yeah, I will say that our draft board in this league is a lot better than I've seen in other boards. Like, I did another league one time, and the amount of value I was able to find in the lower tiers was insane. Like,
sometimes that's intentional, though.
Yeah,
I was in a league where we just decided at one point that we were going to move every Pokemon down 1 point that was like 12 points or lower, so that there was more value towards the end, because we were kind of sick of basically everyone being incentivized to only draft top-heavy teams because it costs you 8 points to get Chansey, you know. Or Chansey's not a great example because it's a singles league, but, you know, equivalent mon of, like, you know, relatively passive mon that doesn't do a whole lot, yeah. And you know, I think there's definitely upsides and downsides to it. And Pokemon that are in 1, but are about as good as mons in 3, are better than mons in 3 that are about as good as mons in 1. You know, like Gastly was in 1, and I think it is about as good as some of the Pokemon in 4.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely. I honestly think we might want to reconsider some of those low tiers.
I mean, maybe.
Future season.
I honestly think a lot of them could be moved down a point and be more interesting.
Completely. I definitely agree.
But yeah, certainly from 4 and below. So funny moves, the experience. The funny moves are good. So catch these hands. There are low tiers that do damage. Did you know that you can do damage with low tiers through a number of very funny ways?
I'm seeing it. These are very funny. Show expand Rockhead, huh?
Yeah. To be fair, I stole I considered stealing the end game set where it's Wood Hammer with Terra Grass. But you know, there's the there's the classic there's the classic 50/50 Sudowoodo with Sturdy, where it's either Sucker Punch or Focus Punch. You can't stop both.
What do you mean Focus Punch?
Do you not know what Focus Punch is?
Nope.
Man, how much draft is like VGC has changed since like Gen 5. Focus Punch is 150 base power fighting type attack. But if you get hit while clicking it and it's a minus priority move, it fails. So the main way that people would use that is to run it behind sub. Also, it doesn't break Protect. I think if it broke Protect, it'd probably see play. Like that's a change I would consider making if I was Game Freak.
Is this move even in Gen 9?
Yeah.
It is? What gets it?
A bunch of Pokemon. I'm pretty sure this move hasn't been cut.
It's pretty low distribution, I just looked.
Okay. Yeah, it's got a lot lower distribution than it did last gen. That's crazy.
Which is fun.
There's a lot of Pokemon that had it last gen that just aren't in this gen. And it's they cut a lot of the egg moves of it as well. Like Charizard doesn't even learn it anymore. That's crazy.
Charizard should not learn that move.
Dude, Charizard is like only good in ADV because it has Focus Punch.
I believe it, but I'm just saying, like, from the lore of Pokemon, there's no reason that Charizard, a fucking flying fire dragon, should have Focus
Charizard
Punch.
has learnt it, like, since its debut as a move.
I don't know.
I don't know, I definitely think that Charizard should get Focus Punch still.
It's like Palafin, Breloom, Hariyama, Vigoroth, and Iron Hands, that's it.
Yeah, well, it's not a TM or TR, and that's why the distribution is quite low. Or a move tutor.
Got it in the past. Slowking used to get it. What
yeah, I've run it on Slowking before.
Oh, that's making me sick.
There's this funny Pokemon called Blissey.
Oh boy.
It's also the same reason that Charizard right now. So Skrelp. Skrelp has adaptability and water type. Now, if you click Terra with adaptability, it goes from so you have 1.5, and then if you Terra, it goes to 2. Or if you have adaptability, it also goes to 2 from that 1.5 multiplier. It's not a multiplicative multiplier. It doesn't go to 2.25, which is already sad. But even worse, when you have Terra and adaptability off a base Terra type, do you know what the modifier winds up being?
Do not.
2.15. It's not even 2.25. I don't...
Yeah, I think I remember seeing some weird interaction with Terra and adaptability. Like, it doesn't work in the way you'd expect it.
Yeah. Instead of it increasing to 2.25 or 2.5, 2.5 I think is the most obvious expectation. And then 2.25 is like the compromise thing. No, it increases to 2.15x, which is very underwhelming, but can be enough to make Skrelp, who has decent special attack and also decent physical attack. Yeah, I think it often runs physical in singles. Certainly in singles draft, I've seen it run physical. I think it ran a mix of them in our little cup draft as well. But it is absurdly strong for a Pokemon with 60 attack / 60 special attack. Mostly because adaptability is good, and Hydro Pump and Gunk Shot are high base power. I
mean, you for 1 point as well, you know, like dip in the pure bag here.
Yeah. Well, I think Sudowoodo was 4.
Solid. Yeah, well, I thought we were talking about Skrelp.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Gastly is 1 point.
It also...
Gastly has 2 very strong damaging moves, Curse and Perish Salt. Also 100 special attack, but you know.
I like the coverage you get on Skrelp. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's alright.
You get Chilling Water, Dragon Tail... Got Play Rough.
Okay, just like half of those aren't coverage. Play Rough. The funny thing about Play Rough is it's the only reason Azumarill learned Play Rough. I think Azumarill gets it by level up now, but it used to only get it from an egg move from Skrelp.
Even though it's a fairy type. Man,
I might be confusing it with another mon because Azumarill says it learns it by level up. There was some fairy type that only learned it via an egg move from Skrelp.
Pokemon Company hates physical fairy types.
They really do. It's not Slurpuff.
Yeah.
It's not Mimikyu.
So yeah, I mean, I think what you're looking for in a low tier, if you want it to do damage, or if you're looking at a mon and you think it's going to do damage, is obviously the attacking stat.
Yep.
But also, like, what's its niche with that? Like, I like the sets you provided because I think it gives some context into that.
Yeah.
Like, Skrelp, you can amplify the damage. Sudowoodo, you want to hit hard. So you throw the band on it with Rockhead, and it's insane with 100 attack. And Gastly, it's so frail that if you want to do the damage, you might need to run a sash on it. And the Eviolite's not really going to do you much good on a lot of these mons that have those amazing offensive outputs.
Yeah, Skrelp might have a situation for it. Gastly, I don't think is likely to. Focus Sash is definitely something I think you consider with Gastly. I don't remember why it was Terra Dark. I genuinely, I don't remember why.
I mean, it resists opposing ghost attack.
It does, but is that a specific concern? Maybe. Who knows? It also resists opposing dark attack, which is, you know.
Yeah, it's probably the best option for a defensive Terra. I mean, maybe like if you're really worried about like an opposing ground type, you could do flying.
I have no idea what Pokemon it was that got play rough from Skrelp. That was particularly funny.
Was it like a mon that should have gotten play rough on its own?
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm looking at the list. Maybe it's a Mega Altaria? Because Mega Altaria does get it from Skrelp. But Mega Altaria, well, regular Altaria, also just like has Pixelate, you know.
Mega Altaria is cool. I like Dragon Fairy. They should make more mons with that typing.
Mega Altaria is like one of the most, like it ruined. It was one of several things that ruined Gen 7 UU because it is obnoxiously strong. It's like one of those Pokemon in a singles draft that you can just lose because you aren't paying respect to it. So I think one of the things that really helps single out Gastly, Skrelp, and a few of the other low tier offensive mons that only have like a, you know, functionally like 90 or 100 special attack or physical attack is access to effective offensive typings and okay coverage. Specifically electric coverage is one that tends to come up quite often. Poison is a type which a lot of drafts will have weird weaknesses to, especially in a meta where Fairy is so overwhelming, which it currently is. And Water and Ghost are both good offensive typings. Rock is a good offensive typing. Ice is a good offensive typing. And you'll see mons that are lower tiered be very effective because they'll have that one matchup where, you know, your opponent doesn't switch into Acid Spray, you know, let alone a Sludge Bomb. And that.
So look for a mon that has a decent offensive stat, good offensive typing, and can take advantage of some other, like some powerful boosting item because it has
Focus
30 whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean if you can, yeah. What boosting item would you use with Sturdy? Life Orb?
Yeah. No, not Life Orb. I mean, yeah, band, like choice items.
Yeah, choice items, yeah. You can run Sturdy on Sudowoodo, it's just not as funny as Rockhead. Also, you still die to Head Smash Recoil.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can run Rock Slide or Stone Edge, though.
Honestly, though, if it OHKOs something, it's kind of done its job. So,
yeah.
I think you're okay with
Basculin is a funny low tier guy, because you can Terra to get a Rockhead Head Smash or Adaptability Head Smash. Stab. Which is funny. So, positioning, optionality. Pokemon that have good typing and disruption that are good. And when I say good typing, they may not be typing that is obviously good, but rather typing which provides relevant resists to your team. Like I considered Toedscool, and then I realized it didn't really help my team in any way, shape, or form because it kind of lost a lot of the resists I needed when it became like that ground grass dual typing, because it only resists, I think, ground and rock, as well as being immune to electric. And to be honest, it's not really what I was looking for, because I would have liked a water resist, so I couldn't get Toedscool. Toxapex similarly is quite weak to ground, and a lot of teams themselves are weak to ground, but if you're a team that's good into ground, it's probably bad into fairy, which is why Toxapex is good.
Yeah. I'm personally a bit of a Toxapex hater in VGC. I'm not absurdly high on them on, but
I am pretty sure
certain...
it is the only Pokemon that we've talked about in this video with championship points.
Really?
Yep, definitely. I'm looking at them again. Yep. It's the only one.
I mean, listen,
with championship
it's just
points.
my personal opinion on it. I know I see the value. I mean, if you're talking about a low tier that's bringable, I mean, the stats on Toxapex are very good for the point value that you're paying for it.
Bunker.
Like, it has 495 base total and amazing defenses with Regenerator. Baneful Bunker, yeah. So it's certainly usable. I find it a bit too passive for my playstyles. To where the point where I would probably,
like I said, it's mostly about positioning. I think it's a mon that you can slap into the right position. It's also got, I think, like Whirlpool, Block, I think Spite, which are like, it's got some stuff where it can, if you have a bad matchup, it can like really do a lot to end that bad matchup. Because if your opponent doesn't have any Moonblasts, they can't kill you with your Fairy Weak team, you know?
Yeah.
Impidimp is good because of Fake Out, and its 2 immunities makes it pretty easy to pivot. I think you're going to run Focus Sash, you're going to run Covert Cloak, you're going to run Light Clay. You're often not going to run Eviolite because you don't care. And it's not that bulky. Morgrim sometimes does, but Impidimp generally won't.
Yeah,
Toedscool,
it's not.
Rage Powder Spore.
Defenses aren't high enough to warrant the Eviolite most of the time.
Mycelium Might lets you simultaneously Spore, Goldengo, but also not redirect against Extreme Speed in the Extreme Speed format. Because you always will go last in that priority bracket. Yeah, +2. It used to be having a fast Extreme Speed Pokemon was good. Now Toedscool and Toedscroll lose to an Extreme Speed Pokemon. Also, Faint. I think there is another priority move that's +2. But our First Impression, which is super significant for a redirection mod.
Toedscool probably could beat an Extreme Speed.
No,
if you're,
Mycelium might. You always move last in your priority bracket.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
That's why I said the
I had Toedscool last season too, and I didn't even think about that.
I beat Sora, maybe? I don't know. I beat someone in one of like the analysis and demonstration videos they did because I was clicking Extreme Speed and they had Toedscool out, and they clicked Rage Powder, but their Pokemon was already dead because Mycelium might. I personally, the main thing that hurts to me is that like Toedscool does have Trick Room, and it is, you know, is reasonably positioned to set Trick Room. But then you click Rage Powder, and your partner Pokemon dies to their priority move. You know, it covers +1 priority, but most of the strong priority moves aren't +1.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that these 3 that you've selected, and you know, generally these positioning type supportive
immunities or like big bulk and resists are the main things.
They command attention. I think that's what provides them with their value. It's like, if you lead Toedscool with like a strong setup attacker, it puts the opponent in a really tough spot because you either have to ignore the Toedscool and then he's going to start sporing you and redirecting, or you have to, you know, kill it immediately, and then you're giving another mon a chance to do what it wants to do.
Yeah. So and even if you lead a team that doesn't care that much about Toedscool, they can still switch it. You know, it's a mon that it will take hits, like an annoying number of hits, and unlike Tentacool, which was still capable of taking special hits pretty well, though I'd say with a marginally worse typing, I don't know, marginally better. It's got a lot more resist, but no immunity, and it doesn't resist rock and ground, which are pretty relevant types to resist. Like, it can blank annoying things at the right time for your opponent, as a mon that's in the back, which is often frustrating to deal with. I do think it is like the worst Spore user in the game, but
Toedscool?
Yeah, Toedscool and Cruel. Like,
what about Shroomish?
Yeah, I see, if you have Trick Room up and you click Spore with Shroomish, their Pokemon doesn't get to make a move.
I mean, I guess, but that's also a lot to set up. Like, at least Toedscool, you could sash it, and it's always a threat to Spore something if you don't double it.
Sure, or just like click a spread move, you know. Like, it's got like a high roll, It's just that I don't think the always moving last is worth ignoring abilities. I wish if it ignored items too, or just grass type, even if it still lost to safety goggles, I think that'd be like really good. Like if it could just ignore grass types and safety goggles even without ignoring abilities, I think that would be a massive improvement.
Yeah.
But as it stands, I don't think being able to sport Goldingo is a niche that I'm personally in love with. But it does have, like, it's got props.
It also sport Espeon Hattrem through Magic Bounce.
It can sport most of my Pokemon.
Also, Toedscool's got 100 special defense with an Eviolite.
Yeah, I said earlier about Tentacool as well. Like, they're very especially bulky.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And the defense becomes...
I've used Tentacool before. To click Icy Wind.
Tentacool.
Yes. Not Toedscool, Tentacool.
Not in this format.
Not in this format, no. But I used it in Gen 8 VGC once. But you mean it came to one game. I think Tentacool, Toxapex, and Impidimp can tend to come to more than like this is a 7-week season. I think they tend to come to like 3 or 4 games. Maybe Toxapex 2 or 3. Toedscool and Impidimp definitely 3 or 4, maybe even 5. I know I brought Impidimp a lot when I had it.
Those are 2 of like the high impact, not fully evolves, like the baby forms, Impidimp and Toedscool, just because of the amount of utility they provide. Yeah. So yeah, I like it.
And Foul Play, Spore, and Toxic are the great ways to make Pokemon that would otherwise be passive win. But yeah, Fake Out, White Guard, and Rage Powder are like the main utility. And then Spore, Toxic, and Foul Play are like how you advance that game state. So that was my full process there. I think you want to run Terra Grass on Toxapex because Earthquake, but also because it's pretty weak to Spore itself.
Yeah, it's also a great...
Baneful Bunker doesn't block status moves.
Yeah, it blocks... Yeah, that's the perfect typing for Terra. Blocks the electric, the grass...
Oh yeah, that's right, electric as well.
Ground.
But yeah, I mean, you neutral the grass anyways.
Fair enough.
The real reason to run Toxapex is for Merciless. You set Toxic Spikes, and then you get guaranteed crits with Gunk Shot.
That's where you get that Glamora Toxapex team comp. Get the toxic debris out there.
I love getting Earthquake. It's great.
Yeah. Nah, just Terra Flying. You're fine.
It's fine. I was thinking Terra Grass as well. Still.
Yeah, you'll be alright.
You got Stab Energy Full. Yeah. No, I think, yeah, positioning. Oh, yeah, and that's right. Then we wanted to have an expose on Eviolite and bullshit mods. All these mods are bullshit. These mods are absurd to kill with Eviolite, and they have support options that are just nonsensical. They are exclusive. Acid Spray on Eelektrik, as well as like T-Wave and other nonsense like that, is super impactful. Volt Switch can let you position, though I think the main reason you use the mod is for the fact that it is immune to all attacks. Sorry, not immune. Neutral to all moves, except for the stuff that it's immune or resistant.
Imagine if it was immune to all attacks.
That'd be called Shedinja.
We can make a whole video about this thing.
Yeah.
In the low tier.
Terra Electric
all I'm gonna say is somebody's getting hit with the Coil Zap Cannon this season from Electric. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have the eel.
I do have the eel.
Speaking of, we don't have Igglybuff on this slide. I forgot what you said about Igglybuff. What does it do? Does it get Perish?
I think it's basically just a body that has Friend Guard. I don't think it gets.
Oh, it has Friend Guard. That's right.
It does get Perish Song, and it's got 15 speed.
Yeah.
It gets some stuff.
It's got 15 speed.
Hand. It's certainly it's theoretically usable.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had forgotten what you said. I think I was like doing something at work when you talked about it in your video, because I could remember things you said about every other mon except Igglybuff. But yes, Crocalor.
There wasn't much to say. I mean, it's Friend Guard, it's 15 speed, you could Perish
Friend
Song,
Guard
I guess.
is like Wo-Chien.
Yeah. Why pay 16 for Wo-Chien when you could just draft Igglybuff?
Yeah.
And win. Simple.
And win, exactly. Yeah, Crocalor, Yawn, Broken. It should be Unaware. I forgot to do that. Dragon's good because it lets you resist water and something. There was something else that Dragon was good for. Oh, I was thinking that Terra Blast from Terra Dragon was probably stronger than Terra Blast off of Terra Water or Terra Grass. And the electric resist is not bad with the Yawn sort of mon. Chansey is Life Dew, it's got Gravity, it's got Sing, it's got one other move that I thought was particularly relevant besides Helping Hand. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I think with these kind of mons where you're thinking about like how good could this mon be with an Eviolite, you're always looking at those defense stats relative to what it actually does. So like, yeah, Crocalor's got 78 defense, 58 special defense. So that's and 81 HP stat. So that's a really good candidate for an Eviolite. But in addition to that, it has a 90 special attack stat. So it can actually do something with that bulk. So I think that's also another important aspect.
Yeah, the offense is definitely relevant, though I think a lot of times the offense is like, if it doesn't have offense, it needs to be insane.
It needs to have
which, to be fair, I think Chansey is an example of a mon that is insane without offense. But like, if it doesn't, like, the first thing I look at in a mon that I'm considering taking as a low tier is, does it have offense? And then the second thing I'm looking at is, what utility does it provide? And then the third thing is, what, like, you know, and then, like, I suppose I'm looking at utility and bulk in like similar situations where like Impidimp has offense in foul play and it's like okay dazzling gleams, but then it also has a lot of utility, and I'm willing to forego the bulk there. I would never take a mon that had offense and utility but like no bulk and not like a relevant speed tier where I could either use it in Tailwind or Trick Room. I don't think, but the offense is very nice. Yeah,
I mean, even like Eelektrik, like the stats alone don't tell the full story, because you also have to account for the fact that it gets net weaknesses. Like, I think you just have to look at what each mon does individually. Yeah. What is it doing with that bulk?
I always associate
if it's bulky, that's
with
not
getting hit by normal moves and dying. True
Just
for the whole evolution line.
Easy.
What's right?
Just use Mold Breaker. Easy.
Use Chillin' Berry. No, I said normal type moves. What?
No, I know. I'm just saying, if you use Mold Breaker, then
there's what, 2 Pokemon with Mold Breaker, or 2 lines rather.
Just draft Haxorus. Easy.
Yeah, it was Haxorus. No, it's Hawlucha and Tinkaton, and maybe another line, but only Haxorus gets Earthquake, and even then, you know, it's a spread move. I'm pretty sure Eel lives. Look, if Hoppip can live Blizzard, I think Eel can live Earthquake. You know, like non-stab Earthquake.
I was mostly joking, honestly.
I typed in Haxorus, but I meant to type in Mold Breaker. I would have typed Mold Breaker wrong, because Americans spell mold differently.
Wait, how do you spell mold?
M-O-U-L-D.
Wow.
Basculin gets Mold Breaker. That's true.
Like aluminium.
Veluza, a Pokemon I have, also gets Mold Breaker, which I did say when I was talking about Final Gambit.
There you go.
I just forgot. That said, none of those Pokemon except for Haxorus and Fracture get Earthquake. I don't think Axew does. It might though. Might also not get.
Crocalor was good value for 5. I think it has a lot in its kit.
It's strong. I think we had it at like 4 last season, which is functionally 8/7. So 5 is probably a better place for it. It's got a lot of relevant features. It's not passive, and it has good utility, which is all the things you want. Because I think the main thing about these sorts of things, if it's not an absurdly offensive mon, you want it to be passive as little as possible. And a move like Yawn, or something like Life Dew / Heal Pulse, or something like Acid Spray, allows it to provide utility into its bad matchups, which is the most important thing. Because if you can't beat your bad matchups, you know, if a Pokemon can't beat the Pokemon that's supposed to beat it, then it's losing to it, you know?
Yeah. So what was with the Terra Fairy on Electric? Did I miss that?
Dragon is like one of the oppressive offensive typings that you're neutral to, as is fighting.
Yeah.
The idea was just that it checks Draco and close combat.
Yeah, I wonder if like
I don't
how
know.
viable Terra Electric would be.
So I was gonna say, I don't know if you ever want a Terra Electric, because the damage is not great. So you want generally something which will just hedge a bad matchup for you, because there might be a position where, you know, you're sitting there with Eel at 70%, and they're at like, you know, they've close combat at previous times, they're at -1 defense, they're at like, you know, maybe 60 themselves, and they're about to close combat you again. Terra Fairy could be an out, but obviously that depends a lot on matchup. Chansey's Terra Ghost for fake out and close combat. I'd run Terra Dark for Preister, but then you'd still be weak to fighting. Oh, the other reason Crocalor is good is because it's very unlikely to be targeted with a fairy move, and not that likely to be targeted with a dragon move. So Terra Dragon is pretty safe, and also difficult to target with ice. It's a similar thing with Eel. Eel resists Steel, which is one of the 2 types that's super effective into fairy. So you're unlikely to be targeted with a move that hits it super effectively. A lot of times with these defensive sort of mons, if you're using a Terra which is weak to a type that you're already likely to be hit with, whether because it's a strong neutral offensive type, or because it's a type that you're already weak to, you know, those are the main considerations you have to make. I did consider Steel on Eel, but I just thought that fighting was too much of a concern. Might have come based on the fact I just like made a decision about Chansey, but you know.
Very good. These are some good options you picked here. I'm think this is a good lesson in what makes a low tier good.
Yeah, I think that obviously also all of these Pokemon were drafted, so someone thought they were good enough, or thought they were funny enough to draft. You know, like, you know, it's possible they never bring Skrelp. I expect they do. I would say if there's one of these Pokemon that never comes, like once this season, what would you say is the Pokemon you think is least likely to come this season? If you were to pick one that the person just never uses even once, never brings to team preview, which mon is it?
It's Skrelp. I'm not gonna lie.
It's funny because I was thinking it was Sudowoodo.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also a reasonable choice. I don't know. I mean, Skrelp is good in theory.
I've seen Skrelp be used as well as Sudowoodo.
I feel like depending on the team comp, I'd have to look at the team and see what they would be bringing it over. Because like if you have a stronger special attacker, it doesn't really have a purpose. I
think the reason Focus Punch is less common now is because close combat is so much better distributed than it used to be.
Maybe.
Sorry, I was still thinking about that.
Better too, because it's
guaranteed. Yeah, it's a much better move. But like back when you had to run like submission, or even high jump kick, or if you didn't have it, right? Like there used to be, what was it, like Blaziken used to get Sky Uppercut before he got high jump kick. Emboar, I think, doesn't even have Focus Punch. It's got Superpower. And there is a trade-off between Superpower and Focus Punch that, you know, if you're running sub on a mon anyway, which you sometimes are, then Focus Punch synergizes well with sub, because unless you get hit after the sub is broken, you still click Focus Punch.
Yeah. Unless
you get hit with a sound move. But, you know, there's only so many ifs and buts. I think Curse on like a random low tier mon, even a mon that is not necessarily a ghost type, there can be matchups where it makes sense to Terra Ghost and click Curse. That was something I was thinking, just in general, not just with low tiers, but with Pokemon more broadly, is there can be matchups where like you have a physical attacker, or even a mon with recovery, where you are willing to run Curse as setup, and then you know there can be reason to consider running Terra Ghost Curse on that set.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, that was the other thing I thought of. Life Chew's really good. Life Chew's like a really good move.
Yeah, I guess if you're one of those bulky Eviolite mons, the ability to heal like that offers a lot.
Yeah, to heal you and your partner Pokemon is crazy. Because as much as they may ignore the Chansey, if the Chansey is giving them an extra wave crash every turn, you know, or Flare Blitz, or the other one, Double Edge, Dedge.
It's like it's kind of like Friend Guard in a move, but not as good.
If I'm to say which of these Pokemon comes the most often, it's definitely Impidimp.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
But sure, putting aside the cheat of Impidimp, which you reckon is the next most common? I have the mon that I'm picking, which people on the screen can see.
I would say probably Toedscool.
That's also the one I was doing. I guess it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Impidimp and Toedscool could both come to like 4 or 5 games even. Whereas I don't see like Chansey coming to more than 2 or 3. You know, Eel, similar thing with 2 or 3 games. I'd probably lean 2 even. Crocalor, depends how bad your fairy matchup is, mate. I suppose Steel and Fire as well. But Crocalor loses to fire types. And fairies, to be honest. Or like it can lose to fairies. If you're running Slack Off, then you are losing Protect or an offensive move, or Wisp or something, right? There's a Crocalor is, I think, a mon that has a lot of move slot paralysis. Chansey's a mon that has no move slot paralysis because most of the moves it has do nothing. You know, it's like you decide between Thunderwave and Sing, and then you're gonna have Life Dew, and then the other two moves are not gonna be relevant, so you probably won't Protect.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean that's one of the problems. Like honestly, I had that experience with Skeledirge where it's like if I wanted to run like Slack Off, like I kind of had to make a sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The issue with Crocalor. Yeah. I mean, I had a good season with Skeledirge, but I often found myself eschewing. I felt like you either ran Throat Spray and Slack Off, or you ran Citrus Berry and no Slack Off.
Assault Vest is good on Dirge.
Admittedly, I don't think I ran that even once, because I had Clodsire as my special wall and Skeledirge as my physical wall, and also both of them were offensive in Trick Room. Are there other low-tier Pokemon that you think are standouts that you might have considered at some point that are worth mentioning that may have gone undrafted? Or even if they did get drafted by other coaches that aren't you?
I gotta give a shout out to my boy Oinkalone. Oinkalone, baby.
Isn't Oinkalone?
I mean, honestly, I considered it at 4.
It's at 4. Wow, that's pretty good.
It's 4. It's a good price. It's 489 base total. Really good defenses, and it's got that. It's got thick fat, which is nice 5. For a team.
Rotom is in 5 as well. Rotom's quite good. Luminian's okay.
I initially had Rotom, yeah.
I looked at Hypno because sorry, the thing I want to say about Eviolite is you have to consider what your Eviolite uses are, because you can only run one a game, and some Pokemon are just dead weight without Eviolite, which I think is true for all 3 of the Pokemon here. Is that true for every other mon? No, Toedscool can run Sash super reliably. Skrelp, Gastly, Hattrem. Hattrem can also run Sash or Mental Hub if you're running against a Mold Breaker Taunt. Or you really want to run Synchronize.
I think Bronzor has a lot of value. It just didn't really fit in my draft plans.
I've tried Bronzor. I don't think it is usable. So Bronzor got Nightshade, but Bronzor didn't. And Bronzor lost Psywave when the last gen, when they cut Psywave as a move, which really hurt it in my eyes because it is so incredibly passive.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It doesn't get body pressure.
23 offensive stats.
Yeah, and it has no means of passive damage, right?
Yeah. Like Psywave was really good passive damage, doing what's it? It was 50 to 150 at level 100, but I guess it'd be 25 to 75 at level 50, which is not bad.
Yeah, I'm literally digging through the move pool to find anything usable.
You ran Grass Knot, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, you don't even have something like an Apple Acid or an Acid Spray that is wearing Spadef down reliably.
Or the bulk with Levitate is insane. You get Imprison Trick Room.
Yeah, but what, I mean, do you benefit from imprisoning Trick Room?
You could just ignore it.
Like, if they are keeping a Bronzor on the field to stop you having Trick Room, how good is the partner Pokemon? Were you setting Trick Room? You know?
Hey, it gets gravity.
Yeah. I love making my Levitate Mon weak to ground. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not doing much anyway. You know, you can just gravity bot for your teammate.
Fletchling I mentioned. Fletchling's good. Glimmet is very strong. Clawf is a mon I considered. Yep. There are like random Intimidates. I don't think Intimidate is worth picking up a mon for without extra synergy. So like Crocalor and Luxio there. Luxio was pretty good last gen, but then they introduced Clear Amulet, which I think just makes it terrible. I mentioned Staravia. Skiploom is phenomenal. Hoppip is phenomenal. Spuper and Scatterbug are phenomenal. A Pokemon that does Rage Powder and a little more is just good, especially if they have Friend Guard like Spuper and Scatterbug. Vigoroth is okay. It's really, really bulky, and it's got like decent setup and recovery. So you can run like a 1-attack set if you run into a team that doesn't have a Ghost type, and like, you know, if you have like screens up, it can honestly bulk up and then like a Drain Punch, Body Slam through like a decent Steel type.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna go for like a top heavy draft, which a lot of people did on this draft board, it's important that you find those low tiers that actually complement your top threats. And I think a lot of the mons we mentioned are good candidates, and some of them are undrafted. So if you're not happy with your team,
for sure,
go take a look. Some of them low tiers.
How do you feel about drafting a mon in low tier just to fake out?
Just fake out? I'm not. I don't think.
So Pormo is there as a mon. Pichu is another mon where like you know, they both of them are electric immune. Pichu has lightning rod, which is I think significantly better.
Yeah. I just feel like if you're committing bringing, you only get to bring 4 mons to a match. Yeah. So it's like if you're committing one of those valuable spots to something that's going to click one move and then become useless, I don't think that has merit. Like, yeah, it has to do
theoretically,
something else.
They can do 2 moves, right? But most in most cases they aren't. No, I mean like they run a focus sash, and if they aren't hit on turn 1, then they can live a hit on turn 2 and get a second move off.
But what's the second move if you're on like a mon that doesn't have much going for it besides fake out?
Well, like Pormo's got an okay attack stat, Tinkertuff has an okay attack stat, and like, or it could be Thunder Wave or whatever. But I feel like realistically, most of the time you're not getting that second move off. And I think if you're not doing that, you need to be like, it made a lot more sense to me in like the what's it called, GS Cup formats, where there are like you know, when an opponent has a restricted. Sometimes taking a turn off that restricted is game winning. Sometimes giving your own restricted an extra turn is game winning. I mean, Cover Cloak exists now, so fake out is, you know, worse than it was previously, as well as Terra Ghost.
Like, you're committing all that, and them just running one move just completely shuts it down.
Yeah. So like, and
then you probably lost.
Yeah, I figured that. So this is something I specifically think is not good. I thought it merited talking about because I've seen people do it before. Meowth is like a relatively popular random low tier people pick up. And then there are Pokemon that are bulky, but and like they have setup. They're kind of like Chansey, but with worse utility. Shelgon and Whiscash are there. Whiscash is a fully evolved mon, and it's got like some immediate offensive thing, but it's, you know, but Shelgon, you know, Whiscash a lot worse than that's called. Shelgon, yeah, he's a Dragon Dancer that can win games. Fracture is also there, but I'd say a bit more immediately strong. Magnemite has Trapping. Diglett, I think, also got picked up. I think you need specific team compositions or a specific matchup to take a lot of advantage of those. Magnemite is okay because it's sturdy. So you can run it like an offensive Scarf set or a Room Service set, and it will probably get some damage off. It's got decent special attack. Diglett, I don't know.
How about Sliggoo?
Sliggoo is the one I was looking at with Life Dew. I think it's very similar to Chansey, but a little bit more offensively threatening. It's got the same concern I have previously, where it doesn't have body press, so like your Rain Dance, Hydration, Rest thing is not doing anything. I mean, the general problem is that it's passive. It's less passive than Chansey, but Chansey has moves that are incredibly high swing, like Sing. Or utility like Gravity, and Sliggoo doesn't really have that outside of setting weather.
Yeah, it's got 83 special attack. Draco Meteor is kind of nice.
Sure, but then you're at -2.
Yeah, and then you switch
like it's okay. I think it's worse than Chansey at doing similar things to Chansey.
Yeah, it's also, I think it's a little. I don't really know how the 250 HP of Chansey compensates for the fact that it has 5 defense. Like, is that mon actually fundamentally bulkier than Sliggoo because of that? I don't know like how the math works.
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Chansey is so Poppin did the funny chart, but I don't have it on me. But like Chansey, I mean, maybe not than Sliggoo. Sliggoo is very high stats. But I think it's only got 53 defense itself. 50 Eviolite. What's like a strong neutral type into both? Let's just throw on like Ursaring. Ursaring doesn't have a moveset. What's a strong physical attacker that hits both Chansey and Sliggoo for neutral damage? With stab.
Fighting.
Fighting is super effective into Chansey.
What was your question?
It has to be neutral into both Sliggoo and Chansey so that I can compare them.
Oh,
Guess Ground or Garchomp in.
Ground.
So Garchomp, just with max attack, it's doing. That's level 100. It's doing 29 to 34 to Eviolite Sliggoo, or that's without the nature. Should definitely run the nature. 25 to 30. Whereas Chansey is taking 23 to 27. So Chansey is physically bulkier than Sliggoo.
Okay.
It's also much specially bulkier. I'm pretty sure.
Did you put Eviolite on both?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And max defense with the defense boosting nature.
Interesting.
Like Chansey lives like an unboosted close combat from Heracross, you know. Chansey lives most super effective hits that aren't like item boosted or terra boosted, which is, you know, when you only have one weakness, you know, then you're also living like every neutral hit. Is there what's like a strong like a Floatzel Wave Crash? I'm gonna check whether Floatzel Wave Crash can do it without needing to terra. Nah, yeah, it lives banded, adamant, Floatzel Wave Crash in rain.
Damn.
Chansey's got very good physical bulk because it's 250 base health, and EVs flatten the impact of base stats. So like the difference between 5 defense and 50 defense is significant, but not as much as the difference between 150 health and 250 health, because the way health works is half the impact of other stats. Though I suppose that was 45 versus 100. I can't count. EVs are weird. I could make a separate video about EVs. But yeah.
Listen, the world's not ready for them to add Shuckle back into this generation.
They aren't. That's why Chansey doesn't like double team anymore. But you know. Lavesta,
really?
That's got decent attack. Maku Heater's got decent attack, and it's very slow, which can let it do fake out and also damage. Rufflet's got Tailwind, and it misses a lot. Spidops exists. It like is okay. I don't really know why it's 2 points, because it's like fine, but you know.
It's just like what, I don't know.
It's very slow, which makes it good at Trick Room. Oh, that's right. You dropped it, right?
I did, but I really only drafted it because I had 2 points left to spend, and I was like, this is the best 2-pointer. Gives me a ground resist. But I really could not see a time where I would bring that, actually.
I mean, like, it came last season. And did okay.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Did it really do okay? I don't actually remember.
It got 2 KOs over 2 games. You know, like, worth it for 1 point.
Also, doesn't it get the weird protect that lowers the speed?
Yes, which is terrible on a Trick Room mon. I think that one does actually protect you from status moves, though. Oh yeah, Dragonair is another setup mon that's funny. Gabite's there. Gabite is not good. I didn't bring it all last season, and it had multiple matchups where it would have been good. It just isn't good because its speed sucks, and it doesn't have it doesn't even have Stomping Tantrum, or enough Spatak to run Life Orb Draco. Like, just bad. Axew's probably better. It's also in 2 points, but it gets Dragon Dance, which is better than Swords Dance in the case of an Eviolite mon, which wants to leverage multiple turns of setup. Zoroa. Zoro is better than Zoroark because it's cheaper, but both of them are unusable because Dark is a terrible typing in this format where everything is, like all the best mons resist Dark, except Fluttermane, but Zoro is not going to kill Fluttermane.
Ah yes, esteemed low tier Fluttermane.
No, I said Zoro was bad because Dark is bad in the format.
No, you're right. I agree.
I wasn't saying you should draft Zoro.
If you're gonna take Illusionmon to be funny, you should take Zoroa instead of Zoroark.
I think the main problem is that they're really slow, and Dark has always been a terrible typing. The Hisuian ones are probably going to be like vaguely usable, but I don't think either Zoroark or Zoroa are. Even though I think Zoroark got drafted maybe in both divs, but at least in the other one. Yeah, it got drafted in both. Yeah. Crocalor is a mon that we didn't talk about that got drafted in both divs. It was at 1 point, which I think is an oversight. It is incredibly bulky and very strong. With, I think
somebody has it with Bruxish too, which is cool.
Yes. James has it, and is it Goose? No, I don't think it's Goose. Goose has some weird stuff, but I don't think it's that's one of them. Queen's Majesty, one of the new players. One of the new coaches. I don't remember their name. I will cheat. Pancake MX. But yeah, so I think that's like a general thing about our general thoughts on the bag. Were there any mons in 5 we should have talked about? I like most of them. Most of the mons in 5 are usable. There's a reason they're in 5. I don't think Kamala is. I think Kamala's really bad. Swalot is sometimes okay. I think if you... the case with both Kamala and Swalot is the use case for them is you already have 2 other good Eviolite users, so you don't want to get an Eviolite poison or an Eviolite normal. But it doesn't get Poltergeist anymore, so it's bad. I didn't use Go-Go at all when I had it, but it's probably okay. Just my team didn't really fit it. It's got a lot of decent features.
I'm excited to use Sawsbuck. I feel like it's got a lot going.
Sawsbuck's good. I used it in a singles league, and it was pretty strong.
Got that Serene Grace, which is funny.
I ran Chlorophyll.
Yeah, we'll see.
Serene Grace, do you know Sawsbuck used to be the highest rate sleep mon?
Really?
Yeah, because it has Serene Grace, and it used to have Nature Power before that was cut, which in a grassy terrain was a 60... well, it becomes a 30% chance to sleep the opposing Pokemon. But because of Serene Grace, it becomes a 60% sleep move. Do you know what second place is?
No.
Meloetta, which has a 20% chance because of Serene Grace off a 10%.
You know what they need to bring back? They need to bring back Togekiss. I can't believe they took my boy from me.
Togekiss doesn't have a sleep move.
No, but it has Serene Grace, which I love.
I mean, I don't like Togekiss for what it does.
I
like Super Luck Togekiss. That was a great thing about Dynamax.
Dynamax with Super Luck was crazy. I was running that.
It like never
hit,
hit, but
like 10 with all the restricteds running around. I was still running.
Yeah,
that
it was
shit.
still okay.
It was still good.
Failings is in 5. I think it's probably okay. Hypno's in 5. I was considering it because I had a bunch of other Eviolite mons I wanted, but it's not good. I don't know why it's in 5.
No retreat's cool on Failings.
For sure. You can run Shed Shell and switch out anyways. But yeah, I think that is basically covering the gamut. Sorry, I think we've run the gamut, rather.
Yeah.
Unless there's something I'm forgetting.
I think
I'm taking a look through one.
Nice little sampler platter of low tier mons and why they're good.
Both Flabebe and Fluette went in at one point.
Symbiosis,
didn't go,
baby.
which is funny. Nacli doesn't get the rock thing. Wait. No, I missaw that. For some reason, I thought I saw Relicanth in the list, but it was Relor. I was like, Relicanth at one point? Shellos got taken at one point. It's probably alright. Sandygast is definitely alright in terms of typing, but its damage is not incredible.
Eviolite makes it kind of bulky. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Snob if you Terra. I don't know if it actually gets Ice Scales, but Frostmoth does. To get White Guard, probably okay. Faroon has Slow Start, the best possible ability.
Snom does get Ice Scales.
I used Wingull offensively once. It was okay. Better with Z moves, which it had in that format.
Those stats are kind of yikes.
It was better with Z moves, which it had in that format.
200 was it? It's a 270 base total, 55 special attack. The only thing it really has going for it is 85 speed.
No, the main thing it has going for it. Yeah, it's the 85 speed, but it's Hurricane. Also gets knockoff.
That's fun.
Yeah. So yes, I think that is basically every mon that is usable and some traps. I don't think... Wait, did I say Larvesta? Larvesta is Flare Blitz and a high attack stat. Larvesta is nothing like Volcarona.
It doesn't get Rage Powder or anything, right?
It doesn't get Rage Powder, it doesn't get Quiver Dance, it doesn't have a high special attack stat, it's a very high physical attack stat. It's got 85 attack with Flare Blitz. Also, you can run like Bulky, Morning Sun, Wisp, and probably Terra is quite good for it. Because Flame Body is
not
good.
bad either.
What's sorry? Yeah, well,
except for that rock weakness.
But like, it's got a lot of really relevant resists, and being a fire that's ground neutral is good. Does Dolive have the grass ability?
Harvest?
No. The one that sets up grassy terrain.
No.
What's the grassy terrain ability called?
It's Grassy Surge.
Grassy Surge.
I don't think
okay,
it's only Rillaboom.
Early Bird. No, it's Arbolifa.
Tapu Bulu.
Seed Sower.
Oh, you're talking about that?
Yeah, the one that the fully evolved one gets.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so Dolive. Dolive does not get it, it gets Early Bird. So it's probably not good. I've used Eevee before. but it had Z-move back then. They gave it a +2 to every stat, and then you could click Adaptability Quick Attack and still not do that much damage. I miss Eevee being funny. Okay, no, I think we've actually covered everything. There are other Pokemon that randomly get Taunt that have decent special attack stats or but I don't think there's anything which is archetypally distinct to the main Pokemon that we've discussed.
Yeah, I think we did a good job. Covered a lot of bases.
Abilities are one of the biggest things that swing the relevance of a not fully evolved Pokemon or like a low tier Mon. So they're a big key thing to look out for. Beyond that, you want to look at speed or bulk, and if it doesn't have speed or bulk, then like something like Prankster or Priority Moves can change that. Like make that Mon impactful. Trick Room, Tailwind, Icy Wind, on a fast Mon, Icy Wind. There was one other thing that we said. What was the other thing? We said not to do it for Fake Out. Rage Powder.
Yeah. Also, for Trick Room, kinda, it should have something else.
I said Tailwind, Trick Room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rage Powder is the other one that like can justify drafting a Mon by itself. I personally still not a big fan of my Mycelium, but hopefully I'll be proved wrong. Or not, actually, because I have a bunch of Pokemon that lose to my Mycelium. Maybe it was a psy-up the whole time. Anyways, thank you to Sucaba. Please go check out his channel. His content is always amazing. He constantly just kind of knocks my socks off with his incredible ability to make well-reasoned draft decisions and not to overcommit, which is something that I think I tend to be bad at. Overcommitting in draft.
Well, thank you for the high praise.
You know, you had an undefeated run last season, so you're doing all right.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That team was special to me. It was really, really good.
I mean, I think you have, if not the best team, top 3 team currently.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different play style, and it's one that I haven't used in a long time.
It's a little bit less of a different play style to what you're suggesting.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like it's still like the same team, but I think adapted to a different format. I definitely think that you can use Copper Archer and Glamora in the exact same way you did last time.
Yeah.
You still have Sableye with screens.
It's true. It's true.
You know? I remember you saying that. I'm like, is it really a different team?
Well, maybe that's my trap. I'm trying to plant the seed in everyone's head. I'm like, yo,
I think you
I'm
went
doing
from
something different.
Bulky offense to bulky offense, you know.
Yeah, I guess. I think my team's a little more explosive now with the speed control.
Yeah,
I didn't really have that last season.
Just Loking, I think, is gonna do a lot.
Yeah,
I'm too distracted. Sorry, I should be like going to bed. I think that's probably the problem. Yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Please leave a comment down below. Check out the VBL. Check out the other content which should be up on the screen now. And thank you.